Imagine holding on to something for years, while the world around you tells you it has no value. Imagine opening your drawer late at night, looking at those banknotes, and wondering if the patience meant anything or nothing at all. Most people would have given up. Most people would have walked away. But history has a strange pattern. The biggest financial transformations don't begin with celebration. They begin in silence. And right now, that silence exists inside Iraq. For years, nothing seemed to change on the surface. The numbers looked the same. The headlines repeated the same doubts. Conversations faded into background noise. People stopped asking questions because they were tired of hearing the same answers. But beneath that quiet surface, something far more important was happening. The foundation itself is being rebuilt. Not for attention, not for headlines, but for stability. A currency is not just paper. It is a reflection of control, trust, and system strength. And strength doesn't come from promises. It comes from structure. Over time, the financial authorities, especially the Central Bank of Iraq, began shifting the entire system away from physical uncertainty into digital clarity. Every transaction started leaving a trail. Every movement started becoming visible. For the first time in decades, the financial system could see itself clearly. At the same time, Iraq's real wealth never disappeared. Oil continued flowing from the ground every single day. Massive value continued moving through pipelines, across borders, and into global markets. But now, that value was entering a system that was stronger, cleaner, and more controlled than before. Money that once moved slowly and invisibly was now moving faster and more transparently. And transparency is where confidence begins. Confidence doesn't arrive all at once. It builds quietly. It builds when systems stop leaking. It builds when control replaces chaos. And it builds when the gap between uncertainty and stability begins to close. Most people never notice this phase because it doesn't look dramatic. There are no celebrations, no sudden announcements. Just small, consistent steps forward. The emotional side of waiting is something only the patient understand. The feeling of checking again and again, hoping something has changed. The feeling of doubt that slowly grows when nothing seems different. But what feels like stillness on the outside is often movement on the inside. Because systems, just like foundations, must be strengthened before anything can rise above them. Globally, financial systems respond to strength. They respond to stability. They respond to control. And when those elements begin to appear, attention follows, not loud attention. Quiet attention. The kind that watches carefully before making its move. Because real value is never chased, it is recognized. What's happening now is not a moment. It's a phase. A phase where preparation replaces uncertainty, where structure replaces speculation, where patience begins to make sense. This phase doesn't reward emotion. It rewards understanding. Because those who understand structure are never surprised by outcomes. There is a difference between something being worthless and something being unfinished. Unfinished things don't look impressive in the middle of their process. They look incomplete. Ordinary, sometimes even forgotten. But completion changes everything. Completion reveals what was invisible during the process. Right now, Iraq is no longer where it was years ago. The system is different. The visibility is different. The control is different. And once systems reach a certain level of strength, the outcomes that follow stop being impossible and start becoming logical. The truth is, history rarely announces itself while it's happening. It only becomes obvious when people look back and realize the signs were there all along. The quiet adjustments. The invisible progress. The slow return of stability. And maybe that's the real story, not the rumors, not the noise. But the silent transformation that most people never had the patience to see through. Because in the end, the greatest shifts don't begin with noise. They begin with silence.